Maomao enters the rear palace the same way discarded objects enter a gilded room, quietly, without fanfare, and with the kind of invisibility the powerful mistake for obedience. She's supposed to blend in, she's supposed to serve, she's supposed to be grateful that she wasn't sold somewhere worse. And maybe that's why her attitude feels so jarring to everyone around her. She simply refuses to play that part. She bows, but she doesn't submit. She listens, but she doesn't internalize. She works, but she doesn't attach. Maomao moves through the palace not like a servant afraid of punishment, but like someone who understands exactly how little her presence matters here. And that's the strange kind of freedom she carries. When a system doesn't value you, it can't truly control you. Maomao simply agrees to be small on her own terms. And that's what makes her terrifying. She can't be bought, flattered, intimidated, or shaped. She is deeply unshakably herself in a place designed to erase individuality. And it's ironic because Maomao isn't fearless, she's cautious to a fault. She knows exactly how dangerous the court is. Every hallway a rumor, every smile's a trap, every silk curtain hiding someone's downfall. But her caution isn't submission, it's strategy. She doesn't avoid danger because she's weak. She avoids it because she knows the palace runs on curiosity as currency, and she refuses to let anyone else own hers. That's what makes her so different from the people trapped there. The concubines live in a world where every emotion is watched, every desire is exploited, every misstep is fatal. The servants live under rules that punish individuality. The eunuchs live in the shadow of a system that requires their sacrifice to keep functioning. But Maomao, she has something no one else there has. A life outside the palace. A past, a home, a set of values that were formed long before silk curtains and poison pastries and political expectations. She grew up in dirt, in medicine, in blood and practicality. And that grounded her in a way the palace cannot touch. She doesn't envy the luxuries around her. She doesn't crave the status. She doesn't dream of rising through the ranks. She doesn't want anything the palace can offer, and people who want nothing cannot be controlled. When Jinshi looks at her, he sees something that doesn't make sense. She's brilliant enough to rise, but uninterested. She's capable enough to be dangerous, but unwilling. She's loyal in action, but detached in spirit. She follows orders with complete precision, but never with reverence. And this confuses him because the palace taught Jinshi one truth from the moment he could walk. Everyone wants something. Everyone wants power, or attention, or love, or influence, or chance. Everyone tries to move upward, even if they pretend it's for reasons other than ambition. But Maomao doesn't move upward. She sidesteps. She navigates. She slips through the palace like someone cataloging it rather than living inside it. She refuses to be owned not because she's defiant, but because she's full. She's full of knowledge, full of purpose, full of selfhood that wasn't formed by palace politics or male attention or social expectation. She's not trying to escape her situation. She's trying to survive it without losing herself. The difference is subtle, but enormous. The palace gets to decide where her body goes. It has no say over where her mind stays. That quiet rebellion is what draws people to her. Not because she shines, but because she doesn't. In a world obsessed with hierarchy, Maomao exists horizontally. She connects, she observes, she pushes back only when someone's life is at risk. She helps not because she wants reward, but because she's incapable of ignoring suffering. Her moral compass isn't shaped by fear. It's shaped by empathy disguised as irritation. She's the rare kind of person who understands that freedom isn't something you're given. It's something you maintain internally, even when everything around you tries to pin you in place. The palace can confine her body, it can command her labor, it can take her name off a registry and stamp her into a role, but it cannot convince her she belongs to it. Maomao is the girl who refuses to be owned because ownership requires permission, and she gives none. She's the only person in the palace who remains fully herself. Maomao's detachment is one of the most misunderstood parts of her character. People see her flat expression, her clipped tone, her habit of shrugging off danger, and they assume she's indifferent, cold, or emotionless. But that's not true. Maomao feels everything. She just doesn't let the world use those feelings against her. Growing up in the pleasure district taught her that emotions are a kind of currency, and if you show them too freely, someone will spend them for you. She learned early that fear makes you vulnerable, excitement makes you predictable, and longing makes you controllable. So she trained herself to hold everything inside, not out of repression, but out of survival. Her emotional restraint isn't weakness, it's her armor, and it makes her the single most ungovernable person in the palace. Because the court doesn't control through power, it controls through desire. It manipulates what people want: attention, favor, recognition, romance, or position. It dangles rewards and threatens losses, and everyone from concubines to eunuchs to nobles is caught in that gravitational pull. Everyone except for Maomao. She doesn't want status. She doesn't want rank. She doesn't want to be noticed. Her mind is too full of herbs, toxins, symptoms, and the intricate calculations of cause and effect. She sees the court like a puzzle, not a ladder. She solves patterns, not people's expectations. And that distance makes it impossible for anyone to fully capture her. Jinshi is the one who feels this most sharply. He's used to being wanted, feared, admired, and listened to. His beauty has always been a form of power, one he never asked for, but one that shapes every interaction he has. People project fantasies, ambitions, hopes, and insecurities onto him before he ever even opens his mouth. And in that sense, Jinshi has never been seen for who he really is. He's been admired instead of understood. Then Maomao arrives. She doesn't faint at his beauty. She doesn't get flustered or nervous. She doesn't even look at him the way everyone else does. He's a living jewel in a palace built on appearances, and she treats him like a mildly inconvenient coworker. It drives him absolutely insane, because for the first time, he encounters a person who cannot be swayed by the one thing that has always defined him. Her indifference isn't cruelty, it's clarity. She sees him not for the image of him. She notices his exhaustion, his cracks, his caution, the way he relies on the very persona that suffocates him. And Jinshi realizes something uncomfortable. He can command the entire palace, but he cannot command Maomao's attention. That's the heart of their dynamic. Jinshi and Maomao are opposites in the most dangerous way. He is someone who was taught to be precious. She is someone who was taught not to presume value. He grew up being admired by everyone. She grew up in a world where admiration is leverage. He has always been seen. She has always made herself invisible. And when those two forces collide, something fascinating happens. Jinshi finds himself unable to look away because Maomao represents a kind of honesty he's never been allowed to experience. She treats him like a human being, tired, anxious, or flawed, not a symbol. Meanwhile, Maomao refuses to let herself be altered by him. She respects him, likes him, maybe even feels something she refuses to name. But she won't bend to him, and that is exactly why he's drawn to her. Jinshi is the palace personified, beautiful, fragile, powerful, and trapped. Maomao is everything the palace can't swallow: grounded, sharp, unpretendable, and free. Her mind is too alive to be owned, too observant to be manipulated, too cautious to be seduced, too logical to be intimidated. And when someone has that much internal independence, the only way to reach them is through sincerity, not pressure. That's why Jinshi falls first and hardest, because sincerity is the one thing Maomao doesn't know how to defend against. But even then, she holds the line. Her freedom isn't physical, it's internal, and she protects it with the ferocity that the palace can't comprehend. The palace is built on ownership. Who owns land? Who owns status? Who owns affection or power or someone's future, someone's mistakes, someone's silence? Everything runs on the idea that value comes from being claimed by someone important. And then there's Maomao, a girl no one can hold on to. Not because she runs, but because she refuses to let the world decide what she's worth. That is her quiet rebellion. The one that reshapes the palace more than any poison she identifies or scheme she unravels. She does something no one else in that place dares to do. She remains herself in a world where identity is something traded, bought, or stolen. Maomao connects with people, but she never gives herself away. She protects others, but never at the cost of her own boundaries. She serves the palace, but she does not serve its politics. Even the bonds she forms with Gyokyo, with the maids, with the guards, with Jinshi, are all built on mutual presence, not possession. She cares deeply, but quietly. She helps because she chooses to, not because she owes anyone anything. The palace can dictate her tasks, her clothing, her schedule, but not her soul. And that's why she shakes the foundations of the rear palace every time she steps into a new room. Maomao is a disruption because the court runs on predictability. Predictable ambitions, predictable fears, predictable reactions. She doesn't chase power, so she can't be bribed. She doesn't seek affection, so she can't be seduced. She doesn't aspire upwards, so she can't be manipulated into alliances. She breaks the entire economy of influence just by existing. People in the palace want to be seen. Maomao wants to solve something and just go home. People in the palace cling to status. Maomao, she clings to autonomy. People in the palace hide their true selves. Maomao hides nothing except her deeper hurts, private scars she refuses to let the world use against her. And Jinshi feels the weight of that truth more than anyone. He sees her neutrality not as apathy, but as integrity, a kind of emotional honesty he's starved for. He's drawn to her because she is the only one who treats him without agenda, without fear or expectations. To him, Maomao is a rare kind of gravity, steady, grounding, and impossible to sway. But Maomao has spent her life understanding what power costs. She's wary of anything that threatens her freedom, especially someone as overwhelming as Jinshi. He wants connection, she wants distance, but the distance isn't rejection in a way, it's more self-preservation. Maomao understands too well that desire is a form of vulnerability, and she has survived too much, seen too much, and navigated way too many dangerous rooms to hand her heart to someone lightly. And yet, she changes. Not in big gestures or confessions or melodrama the palace thrives on. She changes in the small, reluctant ways that matter more. She stays a little longer in rooms she'd normally leave. She worries when she shouldn't. She gets annoyed in ways that reveal attachment instead of distance. She softens around children, around the sick, around people who remind her of the fragile parts of herself she keeps hidden. And around Jinshi, she falters. Not all at once, but enough for him to see the human inside the armor. Maomao doesn't fall in love the way stories usually portray it. She allows it, slowly, suspiciously, and carefully. Because for someone who refuses to be owned, love is the most dangerous thing of all. Not because it would trap her, but because it would require her to let someone see the real shape of her heart. And Maomao has lived too long protecting it to give it away without certainty. But that's what makes her extraordinary. Her freedom isn't in her independence. It's in her control over her own selfhood. She loves on her own terms. She helps on her terms. She lives on her terms. In a palace where everyone belongs to someone, Maomao belongs to herself. And that's what makes her powerful. Not her knowledge, not her skills, not her composure, not even her bravery. What makes her powerful is the thing no one else in the palace has, a life that does not revolve around the palace, a self that refuses to be reshaped, a heart that will never surrender just because someone demands it. Maomao is the girl who cannot be owned, not because she pushes the world away, but because she carries herself fully, fiercely, and unapologetically wherever she goes. In a world built on possession, she is proof that some souls are untouchable.